The following is a presentation of TFNN. Trade what you see with Larry Pesavento. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, Larry Pesavento.
Okay, looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis. We're going to take a look at the German DAX and also the FTSE like we usually do. These patterns are lining up just pretty much as expected by looking at those charts, especially the German DAX. It's been rolling over quite nicely, which I know that must make Tom Hugard pretty happy. Folks, I've had several questions about, the fact that, I've been relatively bearish the stock market for the past few days and the reasoning why. And, I don't do fundamentals. I look at the technicals part of the market and two of the stocks that, there's actually half a dozen stocks that I look at. I don't trade them all. I don't trade them any. I never trade them. I just look at them just to see Apple being number one. And Apple has been screaming. I mean, absolutely been screaming for quite some time that this market doesn't look, the Apple market is certainly not doing very well. But you can see here, it's that 382 retracement that really gives me the tip off that there's some weakness coming in there. We've talked about Tesla earlier, this last week, and then again, or the first few days of this week. And you can see here, we've dropped well over $35 from the 382 retracement. Now we're down 4 days now. So we're bound to start to get a rally somewhere in here. Now, the move that surprised most of the people last night was in the gold market. If we focus on the gold from yesterday, and we talked about patterns and Gartleys and all that other stuff, and we don't know which patterns are going to work, and nobody else does either. I just heard the guys from Thinkorswim talking about it, saying if anybody tells you they knows what's happening, you better be careful. So that's neither here nor there. But if you look at this is just a 15-minute gold chart. We made the Gartley pattern up there. If you look at it real closely, I didn't highlight the head and shoulders pattern that was there from Sunday night when we hit 1914, then we made 1919, and then of course we got up to that 1909, the high being 1912, and our stop would have been just $1 away from there. Well, what's happened since then has been quite remarkable, as most of you already know. I just want to bring this up here because this was done a little bit earlier. I had shut the front door and raise the rent here. Oh, no. Just give me a break. Oh, not good. Hold on. Let me get this up here. There we go. Here we go. See here, our profit objective on this was going to be at 1866. Folks, the low on this thing was 1866.10. Unfortunately, I took some profits a little bit earlier. I had massive data problems starting around 10:30 last night, and I had the guy from his name is Kenny the Geek. He's also a Forex trader. He came over at 11 o'clock and he stayed with me till just about an hour ago trying to get all the data corrected, and I had some corruption, some stuff. I don't know if it was hacked or not, but who knows? So that's neither here nor there. Now, all I look at when I'm looking at these things is technical indicators that say there may be some weakness coming in to the markets. And one of the markets that we talked about is the copper market. And as you'll see here, the copper market, as we're making new highs in some of these indices, you see since May the 10th, the copper markets had made the lower highs, the last one being at 41.72. Now, the low we made today took out the low of the 24th. Now, that sets up, if that is a correct pattern in the copper, with that big wide-ranging bar down today, you're going to be looking at a market in copper that could take it, considerably lower, all the way down into the lows of 424 somewhere in that realm. So, folks, the main thing you've got to pay attention to here is the fact that we are living in an era where we have very, very little headway when these things start to move. I mean, there's so much volatility built into these markets at these prices that you've got to be extremely careful of. I mean, just extremely careful of. And I don't have to give you the examples of these because there's so many. The latest one is the one that's out there today that everybody's talking about it. AMC, someone from Las Vegas sent this over to me just a bit ago. Look at this thing. The thing goes from 10 to 74 and is basically in bankruptcy. And then it goes from 74 to 40. Hello. I mean, this sounds like the boys from the Reddit group and Reddit and Beanstalk, not Beanstalk. That's a nursery school in Philadelphia. Beanstalk. What's the other one called? Oh, Robin Hood, the Robin Hood people. So those folks are mostly inexperienced, and I think you're going to see this volatility, increasing even more and more. Now that was the gold market, but the gold was telling us that there were, and we looked at copper. That was another one of the metals. But if you remember looking at the silver, the silver, we're down over, we're way over $1 an ounce in silver today. That's a big. That's a big move. So the expanded volatility that we're seeing is what you really want to be looking for. One of the advantages of pattern recognition is the fact that you can get in, with a relatively short stack and not have to follow it too badly. So anyway, those are just a couple of the things that we're looking at. Now, another one that's in the news. Remember we talked about the British pound and how that looked so bullish a couple days ago, and then there was the euro that looked so bullish a couple days ago, and then all of those things didn't turn out. That's because these people are buying, the news items. That's because the British pound's making a new high on a yearly basis. By 30 pips, are you kidding me? That's $90, folks. I mean, that's not a breakout. I mean, that is just that's not a breakout. And we're having the same thing happening in another market today. And we talked about this one last night. I sent out a video on this, and I sent out some charts on it. I said, pay close attention here, folks, because this crude oil chart, it's got a whole bunch of ABCDs up here. The high on the crude last night was 69.44. The 1.27 expansion was 69.31. It's already broken $1 from that level, stopping pretty much where it was supposed to, right at the 61% retracement of the low that we made yesterday. So that tells you that at least we're having some wild swings in the crude oil market. I think the bottom has bottomed for a short term, Terry. We felt that all along. But the question is how much we're going to rally from this level. The news is so skewed on some of these charts, folks, and it's just absolutely unbelievable when I listen to what they're telling you. I mean, it's and the only time I listen is early in the morning. I get up and usually, I haven't been up. I've been up all night last night trying to figure out I slept a couple hours, but I tried to figure out what was wrong with this computer. And since I can't help Kenny, he's got to do it all himself. And, so it was a little bit of a hassle, but I was listening to Bloomberg. I wanted to see what was going, what were they peddling today? Well, they're peddling the same old stuff that they usually do. If you remember the stock of GameStop, if you remember that, we looked at that stock. And I just pulled it up today because I just wanted to see what's been happening with it. And like I say, I don't trade stocks. But if you take a look at this GameStop, look what the high was yesterday, folks, at $2.99. Exactly a 78% retracement of the high from market to the penny. Hello, boys and girls. Wake up, wake up. Fibonacci's in the house. 10-4. We'll be right back. Thanks.
Markets can rise and fall like the tides. Subscribe to Basil Chapman's newsletter, The Opening Call, and you too can ride the wave. Basil Chapman is an authority in technical analysis. His Chapman Wave trading system has been helping traders identify trends and capitalize on momentum in the markets since 1984. TFNN invites you to test Basil's proprietary Chapman Wave trading methodology with a monthly subscription to the Opening Call newsletter for only $149. Your subscription to the opening call comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, as well as daily market updates on key indexes, stocks, and commodities. Ride the wave. Sign up for the opening call risk-free today.
What's separating you from the most successful men and women on Wall Street? That's right, information. Having all the information gives us the perspective we need to place the right trades at the right time. The TAS Profile Scanner is the premier market profile-based scanner. Powered by its acclaimed TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner instantly filters over 2,500 plus global financial markets, such as stocks, ETFs, commodities, futures, and Forex. This powerful suite of tools leverages instant trade filtering and strategy formulation to show you emerging trades before they happen. For a limited time, you can save $100 off your first month by using the promo code UPGRADE, and you still get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. Level the playing field with the TAS Profile Scanner, which you can find under the Services tab at TFNN.com. Sign up today.
Hey there, I'm Andy Arbertine with Tiger Precious Metals and Stones. Whether you're looking to buy and sell precious metals or trying to find the perfect diamond ring, I'm here to help. I have over 15 years of experience with diamonds and precious metals. You can call me directly at 727-329-8245, and I will personally answer any questions you have and help you find exactly what you're looking for. I will be your personal concierge in the metal and stone business. Give me a call today, 727-329-8245.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
Okay, folks, we're back, and I posted the chart. This was done post haste because I didn't have the data till much later, but. This is a 2-minute chart of the E-mini S&P going back to late yesterday when we were up there at that 42.15 level. And then you can see here at around 4 o'clock in the morning, New York time, we were making a 382 retracement. Now, the reason why this is important, you'll see the blue line there. That is the artificial intelligence line that I've been working on for many years. The way I found this line, I'll tell you the story behind it because I think it's interesting, and you know, I don't have a rough idea of how some of these things work. It was 1991, and we were up in Pismo Beach, Twentyman and I, and Steve Shapiro came in, and he had this little fax in his hand, a little thermal fax, and he said, "This is what the S&P is supposed to do today." And it was this little blue line, and it said the S&P was going to bottom around noontime, New York, which was 9 o'clock our time, and it was making a nice Gartley there. So I said, I'll take a shot at it. So I bought it and immediately rallied 5 points. And this is when the 5 points, folks, was 1 point was $500, not $50. So Steve had the address or the phone number of this guy, Dennis Regan, over in Bakersfield. And so I called him up and I said, "Hey, that was a pretty good call you did today." I said, "I bought some down there." And I said, "I made a nice little profit on it." And he said, "Aren't you still in it?" And I said, "No." I said, "I made my profit objective." He said, "You stupid SOB. I wouldn't work with you MFs even if you paid me triple what I usually pay for. You don't know anything about the markets." And he hung up on me. And I said, "Oh, dear God, I don't want to get involved with this." A few days later, Steve comes back with another prediction. I said, "Steve, I'm not touching it." I said, "This he's bonkers." He said, "Try one more time." So I tried it. Trade worked pretty nice, but I didn't say anything. But then he called me back. He got my number from Steve, and he said, "I was a little too harsh on you." I said, "I trade a little differently from you." And I said, "Well, what is this thing?" And he said, "Well, It's a time vibration. It has nothing to do with price. In other words, that blue line, whether it's high or low, has nothing to do with price. It's your time vibration. And I said, well, what's your background? He said, well, I was a lead engineer on the Tomahawk missile that we use in all these submarines and stuff. And so I said, well, so I went over to Bakersfield to visit him several times. On the second visit, Jimmy Elder, my buddy from Birmingham, Dr. Elder, and I went over there. And he was showing us how these predictions were going along. And so I basically asked Jimmy, I said, tell me what you think of this guy. Well, his place was so small, there was only room for two people because Dennis weighed about 350. He was about 6'6", a huge fellow, and IQ just out of sight. He was married to a Japanese girl that didn't speak English. They had two small kids in this little house. But he was a brilliant guy. The problem was he was very, very difficult to work with because he was so very, very smart. Well, when we came back, Jim said, I'm going to put up $50,000, let this guy trade it. And I said, you think that's a wise idea? And he said, yeah, it's $50,000. He said, I've wasted more than 50 on a whole lot of other stuff. And so he put 50,000 in to trade the British pound, and he started trading it for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then I had to take my last and only boat from hell. I won a 5-day cruise to Acapulco and Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta on a cruise. And so I said, I'd never been on a cruise before, and I never will again. But anyway, I got on this boat, and boy, it was the boat from hell. They couldn't even make a movie about this. It was so bad. Anyway, I finally, get back to the United States Sunday night late, and I got to drive all the way back to San Luis Obispo, and I'm dehydrated. I'm not in a good mood, and so I finally get there, and then Monday morning, first thing I do is I call Jim, and I said, Jim, I said, he said, how you doing? He said, well, there's only $3,200 left in the account. I said, what? I said, it's only been a week. And he said, yeah, I know. He said, we lost $47,000 in a week. I said, oh, dear God. So I called up Dennis over in Bakersfield, and he said, are you guys still talking to me? And I said, well, of course. I said, we're talking to you. I said, what was the problem? And he said, well, I got into a trade, and it didn't work, so I kept averaging down. And I said, Dennis, this is a day trading system. How can you average down? He said, well, if it didn't work the first day, he said, I did it for 5 days in a row, and the market just kept collapsing. And I said, you don't use any money management? And he said, no. Actually, that $47,000 loss was a big, big advantage for us, because what he understood was he realized he didn't understand what was going on with the markets. And so he started to share some of the things that, he was doing, and he was doing it pretty easily. Luckily, Twentyman was living in the trading house at the time, so he was able to come up with, helping with the things that we needed. Now, this is what that prediction has done, for today. Now, remember, this is only related to time, folks. It has zero to do with price, nothing to do with price. It has all related to time. That's all it really is. And so, anyway, we continued on with him and started to do things. What we had to do, we had to buy a MIPS computer, means millions of integers per second, so we could check the best time for this thing to work. And it was on a 2-minute chart. We tested everything from a 30-minute to a 30-second. That 2-minute was by far the very best, and I don't know why that was, but we've tested it many, many times. In fact, Jimmy's birthday is Friday, and I was chatting with him yesterday, and we were talking about Dennis and stuff, and some of the things that we had to do, to go through the data. And he said, do you remember how many times we had to get up in the middle of the night? And this is, remember, this is 30 years ago that we were 25. Well, was he 25? Yeah, 28 years ago. So it was not easy to get the data like it is right now. So we were joking about that. So basically, what happened was everything was going on smoothly. We had a gentleman, one of the big bond traders out of New York, helped to finance some research that we had to do, which was to the tune of about $75,000 with new computers and a new software programmer and stuff like that. And just as we were getting ready to launch this, I called up one morning because I hadn't heard from Dennis, and I asked him, his wife, Dennis no here, Dennis no here. She couldn't understand English. So finally, his son-in-law called me and said he died this morning. And what do you mean he died? And he said he had a cold. And well, he had a cold. He went in and they did a cardiac catheterization on him because he was so large and so overweight. And when they pulled the bulb out, he went into cardiac arrest and he was gone. We had nothing to work with, folks. We had no background, nothing to use to get this thing working again. So it took a little over 2 years to rebuild the charts and to put the program in to understand how it worked and all that other stuff. I mean, it doesn't work all the time, but when it does work, it works extremely well. And that's what, and remember, it's very, very time sensitive. So within about 20 or 30 minutes, if this thing isn't working, it's telling you that it is wrong. And that's the real beauty of it, of what you're watching. And a perfect example of that, and this will be the last one today. I'll get this up and give you to show it to you. This was the one in the crude oil today, one that we were very bullish on. The crude oil, as you can see, crude oil is now making a bottom at the bottom of this range here, which is right at a 61% of the range and also $1 lower. Hey, we'll be right back. 877-927-6648.
Are you having fun trading the markets but having trouble finding like-minded individuals to discuss your trading and investment ideas with? Become an apex predator in the trading markets and join the Tiger's Den Trading Room only at TFNN.com. The Tiger's Den is an exclusive trading room where successful traders from around the world come to exchange trades and ideas. Join the den and surround yourself with the sharpest minds in the trading world. Subscribers to the Tiger's Den are also the first to have their questions answered live on air and can privately chat with our TFNN hosts live during their shows. Interact with other Tigers and Tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day. Subscribe to the Tiger's Den risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee and become part of the TFNN trading community. TFNN, educating investors.
You could be making money off the stock market. And if you're already making money off the stock market, you could be making a lot more. Check out TFNN and Tiger TV and get expert investing advice to give you the power to control your financial future. Go to TFNN.com and find the newsletter for you. Whether you're into trading gold, metals, futures, currencies, or options, you'll get advice and analysis to help you seriously get ahead. TFNN also features trading services with a 30-day money-back guarantee for new subscribers, as well as TFNN's Tiger Den Trading Room, trading software, and educational webinars for all trading levels. And make sure you check out Tiger TV for free on TFNN.com or TFNN's YouTube channel for live financial content from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern on market days. Stop watching on the sidelines while other people get rich and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Okay, we're back, folks, and Mr. Z asked a question about the trading house in Pismo Beach. how we came to do that. Steve and his mother lived down on the ocean. They lived a block off the ocean in Pismo Beach. This house was up on the hill overlooking the Pacific there in Pismo Beach in Arroyo Grande, that area. And what was interesting about it was the address, folks. It was 911 Wadsworth, and of course it was a nice house. It was built in the early 60s, and it was owned by Fred Grant. When Fred was an eye surgeon in San Luis Obispo, he was an avid salmon fisherman, and so he would be fishing with Raffoni, where I lived, in Avila Beach. And we would have dinner every Sunday. We had a huge dinners for 20, 30 people, just pasta, salmon, tri-tips, that kind of stuff. But we got to be friends with Fred, and Fred had this house, and it was empty. And he said, hey, why don't you take it? He said, I'll give it to you at a really good price. And so he gave it to me. I forget, I was thinking $2,500 a month or something like that. And the first thing I did was I called Twentyman. He was living in New York. And I said, JT, I said, you wanted to come to California? I said, I got room for you. I said, I got a place for you to stay. Just come on out. And so he came out to spend a weekend, and he never left. He's still here. He lives in Morro Bay now. But Bryce Gilmore would come in, and he'd spend a couple months at a time. Mark Douglas, so many people came, visited over those years. And then in 94, we had it from 89. We had it from 90 to 94. We had it for 5 years. And then I moved here to Tucson. So that's just another thing. Now, let's get back to that timing thing, because someone just brought it to my attention, the fact that, W.D. Gann said time was the most important thing, which it was. Remember, Gann was in a time we didn't have computers. He died, I believe, in 1954. So that was long before we had anything even remotely related to a computer. He had something like that, it was really, really, really good. So that's why. The big breakthrough in all this stuff is when we bought this MIPS computer, this million integers per second. And what that did was it allowed you to see, you put all the data of all the stuff that we had from the Board of Trade and the Merc and everything, and we went through and looked at all these things, and that's where the harmonic numbers came from that Twentyman got so excited about, and you can see them over and over again. These markets just repeat off these numbers like, almost like magic. So that's what it's all about. But again, you get back to the whole thing, folks. It's only related to probability. It really is. It's and look at the day that this have an incredible day with all this volatility, and I got to enjoy very little of it. I mean, it was okay, being short some gold, but look at all the other stuff that I missed because of the data problems. That's where the frustration comes in, and I'm never going to be a data problem guy, because after I see what these guys have to do, I mean, I never was going to be able to do it. So that's pretty much what it's in. When someone's asked a question about my trading background and stuff, I'll go over it briefly. I'm going to do on July 28th, I'm planning on doing a day trading thing, live trading. It's my birthday, so it's going to be a really special day at TFNN, and I'm going to do a live trading. I'm going to share some of these stories of how I learned some of this stuff. But my real breakthrough in all this was from 1959 to 1963. I was doing my undergraduate in pharmacy stuff, and then in 64, I started my MBA, and in 65, I went to work for Eli Lilly. And when I was in graduate school, I started to see these number of things that Jim Noblet had pointed out to me, and the fact that silver was going to have this big move, and all we had to do was to save these silver certificates. I went through this before. Most people have heard this before. And then in a couple of years, I had amassed a great deal of money for being young. I had $46,000 in cash, after tax, of course. But anyway, that's that was a lot of money back in those days. So I was able to, spend a few bucks. And anyway, the real reasoning behind my telling you the story is, folks, is to what happened to me next. I took that money and I ran it up to just about 1.2 million. Now, 1.2 million in 1974 was equivalent to about 10 million now. I mean, you could still buy you could buy a gold Rolex for $4,000. And, you could buy a nice Mercedes for $12,500. That's how cheap things were. But when I lost all the money, that's when everything changed for me. It was the biggest blessing in disguise that probably could have ever happened to me. It started in July of 1974 and ended in October of 1974. I can remember in July of that year, it was on my birthday, I was in the Promenade, what's it called, the name of the place? Not the Promenade. I'll remember it. It's in Beverly Hills. It's now Rodeo Drive. But I was there, and I was leaning up against my new car, and I had everything that anybody could possibly want. I had a home, a huge retirement thing with Lily, and I had, just had everything you could possibly ask for. And then, 12 weeks later, I owed the money. That was about, and that's it. So, but after I lost that money, I remember the day that I lost it. It was in October. We were at a Lilly meeting in Santa Barbara, and I was sitting down out out on the dock overlooking the Pacific. There, it's now Four Seasons Hotel. It was called I can't remember the name of it. It's one of the most beautiful places in Santa Barbara there. And I was just thinking, and one of my buddies came up and he said, "Well, are you thinking of jumping?" And I said, "No." I said, "What do you mean thinking of jumping?" And nobody ever knew that I went through this. I mean, it was really great. In fact, let me just tell you a really funny story. When I went through the divorce in '86. We very amicable. We had our Father Dennis was there, the priest. We had our attorney there, and our accountant was there. And we were going through the thing, and I had a huge amount of Drexel stuff because I had accumulated all my bonuses was in Drexel stock, so that was doing really good. And so we split everything. She took the inside. I took the outside. She got all the assets. I had the Drexel stock. I won't tell you how that ended, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. And my accountant said to me, he said, "Larry," he said, "I have to admit," he said, "you've really come back from losing that $1 million in 1974." And the ex looked at me and she says, "You lost $1 million in 1974?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Do you remember that we went to Hawaii with the whole family, all 12 of us, for a solid month? Do you remember that?" And I said, "Sure, I remember it." I said, "I paid for it." And she said, "Were you losing the money during that time?" I said, "Yeah, that's pretty much when it started in August of '74." And she says, "I can't believe that." And I said, "Well, that's the way it goes, Okay. Anyway, that's what happened, and it all came back. But see, what happened was after I lost it, I studied for just about a solid year. I had found I had the Gartley book. I just didn't study it. And then, Don Mack told me, said, "Read that book and you're going to be okay." That's when I found a Gartley pattern, much like this gold pattern that we had here yesterday. It was like that, only it was longer term, and it was in soybeans and soybean oil, and that's what happened. So we'll be right back. 877-927-6648.
Are you in the market for buying or selling real estate in the Bay Area, including the surrounding St. Petersburg, Tampa, and Clearwater markets? Tiger Real Estate LLC is a firm that has extensive experience in the Tampa Bay area. Whether you're looking to sell your current property for maximum value, or you're in the market for a second home or investment property, Tiger Realty has the experience across all areas of real estate in the Tampa Bay area to help buyers and sellers make the most informed decisions across all price levels. From the price you should be paying per square foot in certain up-and-coming areas to the type of cash flow investment properties are capable of creating, Tiger Real Estate can help you make the best decision when it comes to all areas of the market. Before you make one of the biggest decisions of your financial future, call Tiger Real Estate LLC today at 727-329-8322 or email us at tiger@tfnn.com. That's 727-329-8322. Call us today.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Okay, folks, I put this in a nutshell, all the stuff that went through and all the things that happened, but the main thing I have to make you realize that if you really want to do this, just don't give up. I mean, I never, even when I lost the money, I knew it was just a matter of time before I would get it back. In fact, when I lost the money, I went back to Indiana and I, went to see Jim and asked him, what I'd done wrong, and he laughed at me. He said, you think you're the only person to ever do this? And that's when he put me onto the book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator by Jesse Livermore. And of course, he devoured that. And then I've always been a big fan of Napoleon Hill. And then I met Anthony Robbins in '86, which was a neuro-linguistic program that was good. But this is a mental game. There's no question about it. You have to mentally prepare what you want to be looking at. Sometimes you're going to win. Sometimes you're going to lose. But overall, you'll be a winner if you stick with it. Just don't ever give up. One of my favorite quotes from Winston Churchill is never, never give up. And that was his total speech at Westminster College in 1938. He walked up on the podium and said, never, never, never give up. And then he walked off and it was a standing ovation. So that's what a few words will make it pretty good. But what I do with the markets now is because of the looking at these markets on a shorter term basis, I'm able to look at them on a short term basis to decide whether they should be going up or down. And that's why I watch them very, very closely on a short term basis. And I also watch the news because if they're feeding us tapioca, I want to make sure that it's tapioca that they're giving us. We've seen it so many times in these things. And a perfect example today was, you can see the chart of AMC. It goes from 77 to 40. And then you have GameStop and all these others. They're all doing the same thing. The thing that you have going now is you've got these computer algorithms that are working, and you've got to be really, really careful because once these things catch in, they can run like no bejeebies. That's the main thing to, keep yourself occupied. That's what they can do, and you don't want to get involved with that. Look what we're having, going just on the grain markets today. I don't know if it's a pullback of some of the other things, but we're having 40 and 50 cent moves in soybeans, like we haven't seen before. So that's telling us that the volatility in these markets are here to stay. So get used to it. And if you're not using stops now, it doesn't make any difference because you're going to be going pretty soon, and you'll learn your lesson, and you'll come back later because you're not going to listen to me until the market spanks you hard enough to say, gee, what did I do wrong here? So those are just a couple of things that sort of pay very, very close attention to as you're looking at some of these markets. It's not about how much money you make; it's about how much money you don't lose. It's a very important concept to keep in mind here. Okay, now Mr. Z, show your next trade up. He's asking us to take a look at the November soybeans, and we are going to do that right now, Mr. Z. So just bear with me 1 second. It'll only take me a minute, and since you're kind enough to ask this question, we'll get it right up here, and we'll get the daily chart, and we'll get it right here. We had a nice move here in the beans. There we go. Hold on. Here we are. You can see the last buy that we were looking at here came in just about on the 24th. You see we were right at a 70% retracement. And as you can see now, the high that we made today, let's just check that, see what we did. Well, I'll be shut the front door and raise the rent. You're not going to believe this, but you can't make this stuff up. We'll get this up here so you can see it. Here's the high today, was an exact 78% level, and it's dropped well over 35 cents a bushel. So this is an 8-day run. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 6-day run. So on a 6-day run, you should watch for the pullback. The pullback, let's just draw this in for Mr. Z so we can all see it together from the high to the low, and we'll draw this in, and there's where you want to be looking to buy it, is down here when we get to the 1370, and we're trading at 14.9. That's another 80 cents lower. You'd like to see that do it in ABCD format, and that will give you a better idea. Let's just draw that in. Just those of you that have not seen this before, you'll be able to see this is what we would like to see it do. And then you'll be able to see this is what we're trying to do, is to find out what these patterns look like. And when they line up like this, and they don't always do that, but when they do, they're good. And when they're wrong, they come back and they'll give you a pretty good chance to, be able to see where you're going to be with these things. Anyway, I hope that helps. Anyway, I appreciate all the help you've given to Mr. Z, to everybody in the room. He's had you folks on these things for a long, long time. I mean, he really has, and my hat's off to him. And Basil and Steve and David and the O'Briens, they do a great job with the information that they give the folks here. So we want to remind ourselves that these markets are going to get more and more volatile, folks. I mean, extremely so. So be sure. Well, like I said, if you're not using stops now, don't worry about it. You're after you lose all your money, you'll start losing stops. It's that simple. It's really quite simple. There's an old Italian word, 2 words that my grandmother used to tell me all the time. It's fate fubo, F-A-T-A-F-B-U-U-O, and it means get wise. And you either learn from your mistakes or you learn from somebody else's mistakes. The wise man learns from the mistakes of others. The not-so-wise man learns from his own mistakes, and I learned from my own mistakes. I banged my head on the door and the desk enough to finally realize, I better pay attention after all these years. So that's the main thing. But you've got to learn to use the money management, folks. That's the key to this whole darn thing. You're only going to be right about, if you're really good, you'll be right about 6 out of 10 times. At 50%, you can still do well. At 30%, you can still do well. All you have to do is manage your losses, and you should be just fine. Learning the patterns is a benefit because it helps you to tell you when you're right. It helps to tell you when you're wrong. That's the bottom line of what this whole thing is all about. I hope that makes sense, because that's what it's all about. The bond market, folks, is in big trouble. Anybody that thinks that bond market is not in big trouble is not paying attention. Let's just get this up here so we can take a quick look at this. We're going to look at it on a long-term basis. I don't know if this is going to be the one we want to see here or not. Yeah, this is good. You'll see where we are here. Get this up here. We're not going to have any of those negative interest rates. You can see here we've been down here at this key level of 156 to 155 for quite a while. The fact that it can't rally off of this level, folks, is extremely, extremely important. Any move below 153 now means we're going to go down to at least the low 140 level, 141, 142. So those are things that are, really very important. And we've got a caller calling in. Let's just see who it is. And we got Jeff on the line in the house. What can we do for you, my friend?
Hi, Larry. Thanks for taking my call. This week was the first time I heard you referring to the 8-day window. I wanted to ask if you could talk more about that, go into more detail about that, 8-day time frame.
Okay, that is part of my, if you'll stay with me, Jeff, it's part of my advanced Fibonacci course, and we'll cover that when we get back, okay?
Thanks.
Thanks for calling in. I'll cover it when we get back.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
Markets can rise and fall like the tides. Subscribe to Basil Chapman's newsletter, The Opening Call, and you too can ride the wave. Basil Chapman is an authority in technical analysis. His Chapman Wave trading system has been helping traders identify trends and capitalize on momentum in the markets since 1984. TFNN invites you to test Basil's proprietary Chapman Wave trading methodology with a monthly subscription to the Opening Call newsletter for only $149. Your subscription to the Opening Call comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, as well as daily market updates on key indexes, stocks, and commodities. Ride the wave. Sign up for the Opening Call risk-free today.
Introducing Primal Edge.
Today, it's even more important to take a supplement that complements your health. Primal Edge is specifically formulated to boost your immune system and help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Our early ancestors found all their nutritional requirements in the wild environment. But today, our food sources don't contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that we need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated humic and fulvic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They've been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, without them, life cannot exist.
That's right, Ellen. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, just $89, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Okay, I'm answering a question from Jeff in Philly about the 8-day comment that I made. Folks, this started with Larry Williams back in 1979 when he first started using computers. He was selling some statistics, and I bought everything that he had to offer because I really respected him, and I knew he did great research. And it was also paid for out of my money that I'd made from Drexel, so it just came directly out of my paycheck. So it didn't pay. It wasn't as if I had to pay for anything. Anyway, what happened was Drexel paid for it, and then I got it back. Here's what he did. He ran all kinds of computer studies, and he found out after 3 days of a direction up, the odds of the market going down on day 4 is about 60%. And day 5, it's got a percentage. Day 6, 7, and 8 was the key day, because once the market has been up more than 8 days, if it's up the 9th day, it's in a run, and you can't get involved with it. It can go anywhere. We've had runs in some of these things. Silver has had 22 days in a row. 12 of them, I think, were limit up. It had 22 limit up and then 22 limit moves down. Cocoa also had a 22 days in a row. This was not a correction, folks. So that's why it's so very important. So when you've got an 8-day run, the odds of it going up any more after that is only 10%. So the odds of it going down on the 8th day is 90%. So if you've got a 90% day and the market's like we had in Tesla, sitting right at a 382 retracement, let's get up here so we can take a look at it. That tells you that you're going to be, this is time and price coming together. If it's up, if it were up on Monday, this thing you'd be being short that, but you'd be as dead as a ghost. So that's why it's so very important. It's going to be really good to see this. Okay, we got Basil's coming in for Steve Rhodes next. Boy, you folks are lucky today. Shut the front door. Everybody's already collapsing because the Master's coming up next. Anyway, folks, live every day in an attitude of gratitude, and may God bless. Remember, tomorrow our guest is Alpha Insights, Jeff Hughes out of Minnesota. Has some incredible charts for us. We'll see you tomorrow.